What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Disc Golf Nerd Plastic Podcast, episode 7. Today, I wanted to talk to you guys about putters. Um, I've been going into my channel here on YouTube and kind of reorganizing things and just taking stock of all the different videos that I have public right now. And in doing so, I was trying to organize everything and make sure all of my disc reviews are in the same playlist and all that sort of thing, get any duplicates out of the playlist and stuff. And I realized that I have a playlist for my in the bag videos, but I also have a bunch of in the bag videos that were made private for whatever reason. I think a lot of them I just decided that they weren't all that great and they were really outdated and they represent me in periods when I didn't really understand the game very well when I was starting out and stuff. So that must have been why I kind of made them private a while ago. But at this point, I don't really care. They're a little embarrassing. I don't really, it's a really poor quality camera on some of the early ones. I'm really rough speaking, and, my bag is super wacky, and I'm throwing all these different molds and stuff. But that was before I really understood concepts like layering the bag and carrying multiples of stuff that works for you and all those sort of concepts that I've since kind of helped, tried to help people understand here on the channel. But it was funny, in going back and looking through all those old in the bag videos, I started watching some of my old ones, and actually, it made me remember that I've had kind of a weird relationship with putters over the years, and that I've had a lot of different ones, not like a crazy amount of different molds, but I've definitely flip-flopped back and forth in terms of what I consider to be my main putter quite a bit over the years, whether at one point I had Banger GT putters and a soft magnet and a Star AVR, and any one of them could have been my main putter on the day. And just depending on how I felt, and I was switching up all the time, and I really don't recommend that. So I kind of wanted to throw it out there for you guys that hopefully you can avoid that mistake and find something that works for you and stick with it, so that you can really get to know that disc and really dial in your form and your consistency and your confidence with that disc. Which is something that I've always kind of struggled with. So hopefully, maybe by pointing out my struggles, it will help you guys avoid them, or maybe it's something you guys have done as well, and you can kind of relate, whatever it is. I'm going to, ramble out a little podcast here about putters and my relationship with them. First of all, let's do some beginner type advice for putters. So if you're looking for your first putter, I kind of doubt you're listening to this before you even own a putter, but it's possible. If you're looking for your first putter, or you have a friend who's looking for their first putter, I highly recommend, if at all possible, to get to a pro shop or somewhere that sells discs and feel some of the different molds and plastic types, in your hands, because that's what's going to really tell you if it's a good disc for you, is that it feels really comfortable. You like the feel of the plastic, you like the grip of it, and you like the feel of the rim profile in your hand. All that kind of stuff is really important when you're picking your putter, because you want it to feel comfortable and you want to feel confident with it. If it feels kind of wonky in your hands, it's probably not going to be that great for you. Maybe you can overcome that, but if it's just something that feels comfortable and helps you kind of be relaxed and confident with your putt, I think that can only be beneficial. Unfortunately, not everybody can do that. A lot of people maybe have a couple of places that only sell Innova in their area, or maybe they sell Innova and Discraft and nothing else. Maybe you don't have anywhere in your area that sells golf discs at all. It's totally possible. And one of the reasons why, one of my missions for my disc golf reviews here on YouTube is to try to give people a sense of what the disc might feel like if you don't have the ability to actually try one out and hold it in your own hands. That's why often, I try to remember to talk about the plastic type and the feel and all that kind of stuff in my reviews, is for people who don't have the ability to try out these discs in person, just to hopefully get somewhat of an idea of what to expect with the plastic type. So if you can get it in your hands, feel it, that's great. If you can't, check out, there's definitely some reviews I have out there for different putters. Not a ton of them. I think I tend to review more drivers and mid-ranges than putters. But there are some out there, that outline different plastic types, and hopefully you can get a little bit of a feel for what you might like to have, whether it's you like a really stiff, rigid putter that doesn't bend or flex, or maybe you want a really soft, flexible putter that has a lot of give under the hand and kind of a rubbery feel. You should be able to get a little bit of an idea of what those discs might feel like based on some of my review videos, hopefully, at least. So, as long as you're really... I have a couple things that you should stay away from. One is stay away from like flat top, overstable putters that are kind of more designed for throwing short range and more designed for high power throwers to throw off the tee and stuff like that. Things like the Prodigy A1, the Westside Harp, the Latitude Cenis, the Discraft Zone, which was kind of like the first of the flat top, super overstable putt and approach type discs. And then low glide overstable discs like the Pig or the Rhino from Innova. You really should probably stay away from those as putters unless you happen to just really like the feel so much and you really want an overstable putter. Maybe you live somewhere that's windy, consistently windy, and you want to just get used to putting with something really overstable so you don't have to switch it up if it's getting windy out there. That could be an option. But for the most part, I would stay away from those, especially for beginners in terms of trying to find your putter to start out with. You also probably don't need to go lightweight. A lot of people recommend, myself included, going with lightweight drivers when you're first starting out, like 150 class, 160 or so drivers. I don't necessarily recommend 150 class putters just because they get really inconsistent and it's kind of easy to glide too far past the basket and they might be a little bit too understable. If you're looking for a first disc for a kid or something like that, maybe a 150 class putter would be good. Maybe if you want a putter that you can use from longer distances, maybe a 150 class or a lightweight putter would be a good option. But for the most part, I would recommend sticking to the 165 to 175 range for putters. They'll be a little bit more consistent for you over time, and you're probably better off learning how to putt with something that's a little heavier. Most players, I would say, out there use max weight putters, which is generally 174, 175 grams. Most players are going to use those. I don't necessarily subscribe to that. I use the Soft Envy as my putter currently. I have one that's 167, one that's around 165. They are both plenty stable and heavy enough to be consistent in the wind. They have another one that's a regular Neutron that's 171 grams, and it's more stable, so I'll use that into the headwind and stuff like that. So for the most part, I don't necessarily feel like I need to have a max weight putter, but most of the players you'll run into out there on the course will have a max weight putter for what that's worth. So yeah, a couple things to avoid: super overstable putters. You probably don't want to get too used to using a really lightweight putter because they're a little bit inconsistent. And if you have some wind out there on the course, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. If your putter is 150 grams and it's windy out, it's going to be kind of a mess, I would imagine. So let's talk about me and my relationship with putters, and hopefully you guys can kind of get something out of this and maybe know what to avoid over the course of your playing and your time trying to experiment with putters and finding what putter works best for you. I'm not going to tell you that the first putter you get, you should just stick with it, never switch it out, never try anything else. That's foolish. I don't think anybody can really wholeheartedly recommend that you buy a putter and just stick with it forever and just learn how to putt with it. That might work out well, depending on what the disc is. That could be great. It could be great advice, but I'm not going to tell you not to try other putters if you feel like whatever you are putting with currently or things that you've tried could be improved upon in one aspect or another. Maybe you want it to be softer to grab the chains a little better. Maybe you want it to be in a different plastic type that has a little bit better feel in your hand. Maybe you find it a little bit too overstable or a little bit too understable to suit your putting style. All those things are totally valid and reasonable. But I will recommend that, don't switch out putters day to day. This is something that I've done over the years, and it's really, cost me consistency for sure. where there was a period of time where I would have, a Banger GT and a Star AVR and a soft magnet all in my bag, and I didn't know exactly which one was going to be my main putter. I would kind of switch it up. I would try different ones during the round. I definitely don't recommend that. If you go out to play around, whatever putter you were, consider to be your putter for that day, use it on all your putts. I'll still do that today. Like if I miss a couple putts with one putter, maybe I'll switch to my other soft Envy, and there's really no benefit to that. It's just like a kind of like a mental weakness almost, where I start to blame the putter for my own problems with putting. So that's not good. You don't want to do that. Let's talk about my putters over the years. I started out with, I'm looking at it right here, it's on my wall. My first putter ever was an Innova Thumbtrack Birdie putt and approach. Not a disc you're going to see a lot of people using out there in the course. Certainly not at the higher levels of the game. Nobody's using birdies as far as I've never seen anybody use a birdie. That was a good player. I see beginners playing with them because they are commonly found at like sporting goods stores and stuff that carry Innova. You'll find birdies there for some reason, but other than that, you're not going to find them elsewhere too often. It's not a terrible disc. It's kind of a good disc if you're transitioning from like an ultimate frisbee background. It's not the worst disc for you to try because it's much more frisbee-like. It's more of a lid with a blunt edge. It's not literally a beveled edge disc, so it's kind of a lid, but it's got the thumb track. It's similar to a polecat if you've seen one of those. But it's got the little thumb track on the top, so your thumb kind of digs in. Not the worst disc, but not a great disc either. I ended up with it because when I first started playing, my wife went and bought me a couple of discs that first Christmas after I played my first round. And the only place we knew of that had discs at the time was called Big Five. It's like a little rinky-dink sporting goods store out here that we had gone to for soccer stuff and whatever. And then, I saw that they had disc golf discs there, and then I think that's where she went to buy me a DX Valkyrie and the Birdie, which were my first two discs. I kind of quickly got disillusioned with the Birdie. I never really got that into the disc. It's just not all that great. And I think right from there, at the time when I was first starting out, shout out to Discraft. The Discraft clinic videos were a big part of me kind of learning the game early on. I really wish they'd go back and update some of those or make new ones because the ones that I watched when I was starting out are really old now and poor video quality and just could really use an update. But nevertheless, the information there is still valid and still helpful. And I watched the Discraft putting clinic with Mark Ellis, and he recommended, if you're having trouble with putting, maybe get a brand new putter and only putt from a short distance with that putter, and so that you feel really confident and you're making most of the putts that you're throwing with it. It'll kind of start you fresh and make you feel confident in that disc. So after watching that video, I ended up buying two Pro D Banger GT putters, and I carried those off and on for several years after that. But I also had a soft magnet that I got not too long after that. I had a nice Star AVR that I really loved as a driving putter, and I also did use it as my main putter for a few years, I think. And my problem was I never, I would switch them out a lot. So, I mean, if you watch some of my old In the Bag videos, I might have all three of those discs plus in the bag, and then from each, from one video to the next, I might have switched which one I consider to be my main putter, even though I'm still carrying all the other ones. I think that's kind of an issue. Maybe if you want to try out a different putter, don't even take your current putter out with you on the course that day and just force yourself to throw that new one and see how it works. Because I would kind of try out something new, and then if it didn't work, I'd go back to something that I already knew and I've already been using, and I just kind of handicap myself in that way. So I recommend against doing that. From there, I've tried lots of different things, and reviews don't really count because it's not necessarily all stuff I would have tried if I wasn't reviewing them. But I think I experimented with putting with the Ace Race Zeppelin for a little while. It's like a big diameter putter. I think the next main putter that I went to and really liked after the magnets, because after I kind of got away from the Banger GTs, I got rid of them, and I was using all magnets. I think this is a period where my bag was completely Discraft. I was using nothing but magnets for putting and throwing, and then I had a zone for like overstable approaches and stuff. Um, I think after that, yeah, after my Discraft bag, the first new discs that kind of broke into my system were MVP. I tried them out here for for YouTube just because I was curious and I wanted to post reviews and stuff. So I checked out a Volt and that went straight in the bag, and then I checked out the Axis, that went straight in the bag. Replaced my buzzes. And then I decided to try out some putters, and I tried the soft anode, and that started a love affair with the soft anode that lasted a few years. Great disc. I still definitely recommend it as a putter. It's a really nice straight flying putter. But I got to the point where I was starting to get really, really comfortable and confident with my soft envies. The Axiom Soft Envy, for the record, is probably what I consider to be the best overall throwing and driving and putting putter on the market. It's just amazingly consistent while still being really straight flying. It's got a nice finish to it that you can depend on. And it works so well for my game. I really love that mold. Axiom Soft Envy is amazing. So I just got to the point where I was like, you know what? I don't need to have this anodes and envies in my bag. Maybe I should just putt with the envies and just get rid of the anode and just really simplify things. And that's kind of where I'm at now. I'm putting with two soft envies, and then I have a neutron one that's a little bit more stable for overstable approaches and for headwind putting. And it's working out really well. I'm happy with it. I'm going to try to stick to that and not kind of veer off of that for a while. I'm going to try to just continue putting with my soft envies and stick with them and try to get really confident and accurate with those putters. They work really great inside the circle. Outside of the circle, every once in a while, I'll still putt with like a magnet if I want like kind of a long, glidey putt that, outside of a consistent range where I just really want to give it a shot to going in. Give it a chance at going in. I'll use one of those sometimes. I also have a soft proxy, which is like a really nice straight to understable complement to the Envy, and I will putt with those for longer putts every once in a while as well, just because the Envy falls out a little bit early for longer putts for me and my style. Inside the circle, I feel really confident with my Envies. I can put a lot of pop on them without worrying about them veering off the line or flipping or anything like that. They just hold straight in, and the soft neutron seems to catch really well. I don't have very many problems with them bouncing out at all. So all that stuff is good. So, what is the best putter on the market? Well, it's different for every person, essentially. There is no such thing as the best putter or the best driver or any of that type of stuff. It's all based on your game, your approach to the game, your technique, and what you want out of it. There's all kinds of different putting styles out there. So clearly, one putter is not going to be the best for all those different styles. Again, if you have the capability to try out putters, handle them, and get an idea of what they feel like in your hand, that's going to give you the best indication. Maybe if you don't have a store in your local area, but you have friends that you play with, or you go to a league or something like that, ask everybody what they're putting with, and see if they'll. Most people hand you their disc so you can check it out. It's not a big deal to do that. If you go play doubles or whatever, a league or something like that, or you just have a bunch of buddies that you play with, ask them what they use, and maybe you can get a feel for a different disc that might feel better in your hand and might accomplish what you're looking for. But yeah, ultimately there is no best putter. It's just what's right for you, what works well with your game, and what feels good in your hand. That's pretty much all there is to it. There are lots of different attributes to putters, but as long as you're throwing something nice and neutral that you can keep pretty straight, if that's what you're going for in your putting style, you're all good. And if you get a chance to go to like a really good pro shop that has a lot of different brands and molds, don't worry about what brand it is. Just try a bunch of different things, and whatever brand it is or any of that type of stuff doesn't matter at all. It's all about how it feels and how it flies. So don't worry about that. Some people kind of restrict themselves to only one brand for whatever reason. I don't think that's really necessary. I think you're kind of unnecessarily handicapping yourself. If you're not sponsored, I don't see why you shouldn't just throw all kinds of different discs and pick whatever, then you have the choice of all the different discs on the market. You're not limiting yourself for no reason. I think that's good. We had a full episode about that. So yeah, there's no real best putter per se. If you can get your hands on a few different ones and try them out and see how they feel, that's going to give you the best indication of which one to choose. And then if you get it, you start throwing it, it doesn't quite fly the way you want it to. At least you know that you like the feel and that sort of thing, and then you can kind of look for something that's similar in feel but has a different flight characteristic based on what you need. Maybe you want a little bit more fade, a little bit less fade, or whatever the case may be. So yeah, my history with putters has been kind of wacky. When I go back and look at all the different ones I've tried, it's quite a few. And again, some of those were for review, and they don't necessarily, I wouldn't necessarily have tried a lot of them if I didn't run this channel and didn't start doing disc reviews. But there's so many great putters out there on the market. It's can be really overwhelming to figure out which one to use. So my best advice, I think, is just all the stuff we talked about in terms of feel in the hand. But really, once you find something that's a nice neutral disc and you like the flight of it, just stick with it and keep trying it. If you have a couple of rounds where your putting's not going very well, don't blame the putter. Just stick with it, keep trying, keep working on your technique, on your form for putting, and you will benefit from that. And if you can get yourself a basket or another means of practicing putting at home, I highly recommend doing that. If you have a course that's close by, maybe you can go over there and find use a practice basket there, or find a hole and putt on it and just watch for other players playing through. That will all benefit you, and just because you have a couple of bad rounds doesn't mean that your putter is messed up or that you need to switch it out. Just stick with it and keep working on your form, and you will see improvements based on that, and then you can kind of stay more consistent, build confidence and familiarity with your putter, and I think you will benefit from that. So here's what I'd like you guys to do in the comment section of this particular episode. Let me know, what are you guys putting with right now? What do you think is your go-to putter right now? How many different putters have you tried over the years? And what kind of makes you change to a different putter? Is it that you feel like it's a problem with the flight, or you just want to kind of have a clean slate to try to build more confidence with a new disc, a fresh disc? Let me know what you guys think about that. How many different putters you've tried over the years, what you're putting with currently, what kind of led you to where you're at with your putters. Hopefully we can kind of have a discussion in the comments and help people out who are trying to figure out where they should go in terms of putters and some kind of pitfalls to avoid. Hopefully I've illuminated a few of those for you guys as well in this particular episode. Thanks very much for listening. I will talk to you guys later. All right, cheers.